African elephants are the largest land mammals on Earth, and they are known for their remarkable intelligence, social structure, and distinctive features. There are two main subspecies of African elephants: the savanna bush elephant Loxodonta africana and the forest elephant Loxodonta. Key features: size. African elephants can reach a height of up to 10 to 13 feet at the shoulder, and they can weigh between 5,000 and 14,000 pounds. Depending on the subspecies, the males are generally larger than females. Tusks. Both male and female African elephants typically have tusks, although the size and presence of tusks can vary. Tusks are modified incisor teeth and are used for digging, stripping bark from trees, and as a tool for social interactions. Unfortunately, tusks also make elephants a target for poaching. Ears. African elephants have large fan-shaped ears that help regulate their body temperature. The ears contain blood vessels that dissipate heat, and by flapping them, elephants can cool down in hot environments. Trunk. Their trunk, a fusion of the nose and upper lip, is one of their most unique features. It is incredibly versatile and used for drinking, breathing, smelling, socializing, and picking up objects. Elephants can also use their trunks to communicate and show affection. Social structure. African elephants are social animals that live in herds, typically led by a matriarch, the oldest and often wisest female in the group. The matriarch's knowledge of migration routes and water sources is crucial for the survival of the herd. Male elephants tend to leave the herd when they reach adolescence, and live a more solitary life or form loose bachelor groups. Behavior. Communication. Elephants communicate using a variety of sounds, including low-frequency rumbles that can travel long distances. They also use body language, such as flapping their ears or trumpeting, to convey messages to others. Intelligence. Elephants are incredibly intelligent, capable of complex problem-solving and showing signs of empathy, self-awareness, and mourning. They have demonstrated the ability to recognize themselves in mirrors, a rare trait among animals. Migration. African elephants are migratory, moving between water and food sources, often over large distances. This movement is key to maintaining the health of ecosystems, as elephants help maintain biodiversity by uprooting trees and dispersing seeds. Conservation. African elephants face significant threats, mainly from poaching due to ivory trade and habitat loss due to human expansion and land use changes. In recent decades, the populations of these magnificent creatures have been in decline. Savanna elephants are listed as vulnerable by the IUCN Red List, with significant population declines in Central Africa due to poaching. Forest elephants are even more endangered, with their numbers dwindling drastically in parts of West and Central Africa, largely due to poaching and deforestation. Conservation efforts have been put in place, including anti-poaching laws, wildlife corridors, and community-based conservation programs. Some nations have taken significant steps, such as Kenya, which has a strong anti-poaching stance. Cultural significance. Elephants hold great cultural importance in many African societies, and are often revered as symbols of wisdom, power, and longevity. They appear in African folklore, art, and rituals. They also feature prominently in global wildlife conservation campaigns, symbolizing the need to protect endangered species. Sure, let's dive deeper into some more interesting aspects of African elephants. Ecological role. African elephants play an essential role in their ecosystems as keystone species, meaning they have a disproportionately large effect on the environment relative to their size or numbers. Here are some ways they shape the landscape. Vegetation control. Elephants feed on a wide variety of plants, including trees, shrubs, and grasses. By uprooting or breaking branches, they prevent certain plants from becoming too dominant, thus maintaining a healthy balance of plant life. This helps ensure that other species have access to food and shelter. Seed dispersal. As they eat fruit, elephants act as important seed dispersers. Many trees and plants rely on elephants to transport their seeds over vast distances. This benefits plant diversity, as seeds are deposited in new areas where they may germinate. Water sources. Elephants are known to create water holes by digging with their tusks. These water holes often become crucial drinking spots for other animals, especially during the dry season when water is scarce. They might also break open trees to get at water stored in their trunks. Creating habitats. By knocking over trees, elephants can open up dense forests or savannas, allowing light to reach the forest floor and helping new plant life to grow. This can also create open areas that benefit grazing animals, like antelope. Migration and social networks. Elephant migration is not just about finding food and water. It's also about maintaining social bonds. Elephant herds are closely knit, and the relationships within them are based on deep familial ties. A matriarch leads the herd, and her decisions are crucial in guiding the elephants through changing environments. Long-range migrators. Some elephant herds migrate over 100 miles to reach seasonal resources. These migrations are often guided by the matriarch, who passes on knowledge about migration routes and important landmarks to the younger members of the group. Female bonds. Female elephants generally stay with the herd for life, creating strong bonds with their mothers, sisters, aunts and daughters. These close-knit social groups provide protection, support, and a learning environment. The elderly matriarch holds a wealth of knowledge, which is passed down through generations. Male elephants in adolescence. When male elephants reach maturity around 12 to 15 years old, they typically leave the herd and live solitary lives, or form small bachelor groups. These groups can offer socialization and a chance for younger males to learn from older, more dominant bulls. Communication. Elephants have a highly sophisticated way of communicating, and their social interactions can be quite complex. Here are some key points about elephant communication. Low-frequency rumbles. Elephants produce infrasound, very low-frequency rumbles, which is below the range of human hearing. These sounds can travel long distances up to several kilometers, allowing elephants to communicate over great distances. They may use these sounds to signal danger, locate other herds, or communicate their emotional states. Body language. Elephants use a wide range of body language cues to communicate. A raised trunk can signal curiosity or excitement, while flattened ears can indicate aggression or fear. The way they move their bodies and trunks can show affection, dominance, or submission. In touch with emotion. Elephants are known for their ability to show empathy and comfort each other during distressing situations. If a herd member is in trouble, other elephants may try to help, and they have been observed standing guard over a sick or injured member. They also mourn their dead, exhibiting behaviors that suggest they understand loss, like gently touching the bones or body of a deceased elephant. Conservation efforts. While African elephants face many challenges, there are several ongoing conservation initiatives focused on their survival. Some of these efforts include anti-poaching and legal protection. Many African countries have strengthened anti-poaching laws, deployed wildlife rangers to protect elephants, and imposed stricter penalties for poaching and ivory trafficking. The international ivory trade has been banned, and many countries have made efforts to destroy stockpiles of ivory to reduce demand. Community-based conservation. In areas where elephants frequently conflict with human communities such as crop raiding, community-based conservation programs are working to find solutions. These include providing compensation for crop losses, developing elephant-friendly agriculture, and involving local people in wildlife management and protection. Wildlife corridors. To help elephants move safely between protected areas. Wildlife corridors are being established to allow them to migrate without encountering human settlements or getting caught in conflict zones. These corridors also help reduce the risk of road fatalities and human-elephant conflicts. Education and awareness. There are many global campaigns aimed at raising awareness about the plight of African elephants. Organizations like the Elephant Crisis Fund and Save the Elephants are working hard to educate the public and governments about the importance of elephant conservation. Ethical issues and the ivory trade. The ivory trade has long been a significant threat to elephant populations. Though ivory is banned internationally, illegal trade continues to be a major problem. Elephant tusks are highly prized for their beauty, and the demand for ivory, especially in Asia, has fueled poaching. Public awareness campaigns. Many conservation groups and governments are trying to reduce the demand for ivory by launching public education campaigns, encouraging the destruction of ivory stockpiles, and pushing for greater enforcement of existing bans. Cultural shifts. In some cultures, ivory has been considered a symbol of wealth and status. However, recent campaigns have started to shift cultural perceptions. In some countries, ivory consumption has significantly declined as people are increasingly aware of the consequences of poaching and the potential extinction of elephants. Tourism and ecotourism. African elephants are a significant draw for ecotourism, with safaris being one of the best ways for people to see elephants in the wild. Responsible ecotourism can contribute to conservation by providing funding for national parks, creating jobs for local communities, and raising awareness about the importance of protecting wildlife. Let's dive into some specific aspects of elephant evolution and conservation projects around the world. Evolution of African elephants. Elephants have an incredibly rich evolutionary history. The modern African elephant Loxodonta africana and the Asian elephant Elephas maximus share a common ancestor that lived around 6 million years ago. However, their evolutionary paths diverged quite early. Ancient relatives. Elephants are part of the order Proboscidea, which includes other extinct species like mastodons and mammoths. Mastodons, for instance, were closely related to elephants but were more adapted to forested environments, whereas mammoths were adapted to cold, tundra environments. Evolution of the trunk, which is one of the most iconic features of elephants, evolved from the proboscis of their ancient ancestors. This highly specialized structure has become essential for an elephant's survival, allowing them to feed, drink, communicate, and interact socially in ways that no other animal can. Ancient elephants and extinction. Over millions of years, elephants had a variety of relatives across different parts of the world. Many of these species, like the woolly mammoth, went extinct due to a combination of climate change and human hunting. The survival of the modern African and Asian elephants is a result of their adaptation to changing environments over time. Two lineages of African elephants. African elephants split into two distinct species, the savanna or bush elephant and the forest elephant. The forest elephant is smaller, with rounder ears and straighter tusks, and is found in the dense rainforests of Central and West Africa. The savanna elephant, larger with bigger ears and curved tusks, is adapted to open woodlands and savannas across sub-Saharan Africa. Conservation projects for African elephants. There are many conservation initiatives aimed at protecting African elephants and their habitats. Here are some of the prominent programs and strategies. Kenya's anti-poaching efforts. Kenya is one of the leading countries in elephant conservation. The country passed some of the toughest anti-poaching laws in the world. In 2016, Kenya made a global statement by burning over 100 tons of ivory, signaling their strong stance against the ivory trade. The Kenya Wildlife Service (KWS) is responsible for managing national parks and reserves, deploying rangers to protect elephants and other wildlife. The Tsavo National Park, home to one of the largest elephant populations in the world, is under continuous surveillance and protection efforts. Anti-poaching patrols and aerial surveillance have been key in reducing elephant poaching. The Elephant Crisis Fund (ECF). The Elephant Crisis Fund was established in 2013 as a joint initiative between Save the Elephants and the Wildlife Conservation Network. This fund supports on-the-ground conservation programs, including anti-poaching operations, community engagement, and efforts to reduce ivory demand globally. The ECF focuses on strengthening the enforcement of wildlife protection laws, supporting local rangers, and using technology like GPS collars to monitor elephant movements and prevent illegal activities. Anti-poaching and wildlife monitoring in Botswana. Botswana has a significant population of elephants, particularly in the Okavango Delta and the Chobe National Park, which is often referred to as the elephant capital of the world. The country has taken an active approach to anti-poaching, with strong laws against illegal hunting and a zero-tolerance stance towards ivory poaching. The Botswana Predator Conservation Trust is working on innovative monitoring systems that help track elephant herds and prevent human-wildlife conflict by using advanced technology, like drones and satellite imagery. Community-based conservation in Zambia. Zambia has developed a unique model of community-based conservation, where local communities are directly involved in protecting elephants and benefiting from The Zambezi River Trust works with communities to establish wildlife management areas where locals are trained to become wildlife rangers and ecotourism guides. This model has led to increased awareness and a reduction in poaching in areas like the Lower Zambezi and Kafue National Park, while also providing economic benefits through sustainable tourism. African Elephant Summit and international cooperation. The African Elephant Summit held in 2013 was a major step toward securing international support for elephant conservation. Leaders from 30 African countries met to discuss coordinated efforts to protect elephants and combat the illegal ivory trade. There have been growing calls for the CITES, Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, to enforce stricter bans on the international ivory trade, especially following China's 2017 decision to shut down its domestic ivory trade. The Ivory Free campaign has gained momentum, With multiple countries including the United States and the European Union taking measures to close domestic ivory markets, the hope is to make it harder for poachers to profit from illegal ivory. The Great Elephant Census. The Great Elephant Census was a landmark initiative that aimed to count and monitor elephant populations across 18 African countries, conducted by the Paul G. Allen Family Foundation and other partners. It provided valuable data on elephant distribution and the impact of poaching. The results indicated a dramatic decline in elephant numbers across Africa. Approximately 144,000 elephants were lost between 2007 and 2014. This project helped galvanize international attention on the elephant poaching crisis and led to increased funding for anti-poaching efforts and more targeted conservation strategies. Reintroduction and translocation projects. Some conservation groups are focusing on reintroducing or translocating elephants into areas where their populations have been decimated. For instance, the David Sheldrick Wildlife Trust in Kenya has been involved in rescuing and rehabilitating orphaned elephants, many of which have been victims of poaching. These elephants are then released back into the wild. Translocation involves moving elephants from areas where populations are unsustainable or where they are in danger from poaching to new, safer environments. This is a method used to help restore elephant populations in areas like South Africa, where elephants were historically absent. Education and awareness programs. Education programs are another important aspect of elephant conservation. Organizations like the Elephant Sanctuary in the U.S. and Wildlife Direct in Africa provide educational resources to local communities, schools, and tourists to raise awareness about the importance of elephants in the ecosystem and their endangered status. In areas with high human-elephant conflict, educational outreach programs focus on teaching communities about how to protect their crops from elephants and how to coexist peacefully with the animals. Sure, let's dive into even more details about specific conservation strategies, human-elephant conflict, and innovative technologies that are being used in elephant conservation efforts. Human-elephant conflict. One of the biggest challenges in elephant conservation is human-elephant conflict, HEC. As human populations expand and encroach on wildlife habitats, elephants often come into conflict with local communities, especially in areas where they raid crops, damage property, or cause injury to people. This conflict often leads to retaliatory killings of elephants, which further endangers their population. Here are some approaches to mitigate HEC. Electric fencing. One of the most common strategies to prevent elephants from entering agricultural land or human settlements is electric fencing. In countries like Tanzania and Zambia, electric fences have been installed around national parks and protected areas to keep elephants inside designated wildlife corridors and away from villages. The Selous Game Reserve in Tanzania has successfully used electric fences to reduce the number of elephants that wander into crop fields, helping to reduce conflicts while ensuring the safety of both elephants and local farmers. Livestock guarding and traditional practices. In places like Kenya and Zimbabwe, traditional knowledge and community practices are being used to mitigate HEC. For example, some communities use beehive fences, a very innovative solution. Elephants are naturally afraid of bees, so placing beehives around crops or villages has proven to deter elephants from entering areas they normally raid for food. In some regions, farmers use scarecrows and loud noises to scare away elephants, but these methods are less reliable than others. Compensation schemes. In areas where elephants are more likely to damage crops or property, compensation schemes have been implemented. These programs, often funded by conservation organizations or governments, reimburse farmers for their losses due to elephant raids. This reduces the incentive for farmers to harm elephants in retaliation. For example, in Botswana, the government provides financial compensation to farmers whose crops are damaged by elephants, which helps prevent farmers from taking matters into their own hands. Elephant-friendly agriculture. Elephant-friendly agriculture refers to farming practices that allow elephants to coexist with crops without causing damage. In parts of Mozambique and South Africa, farmers are being taught how to plant certain crops that are less attractive to elephants, or how to use barriers, like tree saplings or thorny shrubs, to deter elephants from entering agricultural areas. Relocation and translocation of elephants. Sometimes, elephants that are repeatedly causing damage in certain areas are relocated or translocated to safer locations. The African Parks Network and other wildlife organizations often work with local governments to move elephants away from human settlements to avoid conflict. However, translocation can be a complex process, as it can be difficult to find suitable habitats without displacing other wildlife. Innovative technologies in elephant conservation. Technology has become a critical tool in elephant conservation efforts. Several innovative tools and systems are being employed to protect elephants and reduce human-wildlife conflict. GPS tracking and monitoring. GPS collars are one of the most effective tools for monitoring elephants. These collars allow researchers to track the movements of elephants in real time, providing valuable data on their migration patterns, behavior, and habitat use. This helps conservationists understand how elephants move between protected areas and identify potential conflict zones. The Elephant Collar Project in Tanzania and Kenya has been a huge success in tracking elephant movements and predicting where conflicts might occur. The data is also used to plan wildlife corridors and inform conservation strategies. Drones and aerial surveillance. Drones are increasingly being used to monitor elephant populations and track their movements from the air. Drones are especially useful for monitoring remote or difficult-to-reach areas, like dense forests or rugged terrain, where traditional monitoring methods are less effective. The Wildlife Conservation Society (WCS) and Elephant Listening Project have used drones to conduct aerial surveys and monitor herds, which helps in identifying poaching hotspots or areas of illegal logging and human encroachment. Camera traps. Camera traps are deployed in wildlife corridors and national parks to monitor elephants and other wildlife. These cameras are motion-activated and capture images of animals passing by. In addition to monitoring elephant populations, they provide data on species diversity, predator-prey relationships, and human activities that could affect elephant habitats. Elephant Anti-Poaching Systems (IEPs). In Botswana and South Africa, innovative systems like the Elephant Anti-Poaching System (EAPS) have been implemented to help prevent poaching. These systems use a combination of satellite imagery, real-time tracking, and data analysis to detect illegal activity in elephant habitats. If suspicious activity is detected, rangers can be alerted immediately, improving the response time to potential poaching incidents. Acoustic monitoring. Elephant sound detection. Elephants produce a wide range of sounds, many of which are at frequencies too low for humans to hear. Acoustic monitoring systems, which involve placing microphones in strategic locations, are being used to detect these low-frequency rumbles. This method can help researchers locate elephant herds and understand their behavior, particularly in dense forests or large areas where it's difficult to track them visually. AI and machine learning. Artificial intelligence (AI) is now being used to analyze large data sets collected through GPS tracking, camera traps, and drones. Machine learning algorithms can help conservationists predict elephant movements, identify patterns of poaching, and even analyze sounds to detect distress calls or other indicators of danger. Elephant Listening Project uses AI and machine learning to analyze the acoustic data collected from elephants' vocalizations, helping researchers understand the social dynamics of elephant herds and track poaching activity. Ongoing conservation initiatives in specific countries. South Africa. South Africa is home to several elephant populations, especially in the Kruger National Park, one of the largest wildlife reserves in Africa. The country has implemented a culling moratorium, meaning that elephants are no longer culled as part of population control programs. Instead, they are managed using translocation and rewilding techniques, where elephants are moved to other parts of the country to prevent overpopulation in one area, and to ensure they are in environments where their survival is optimal. South Africa is also a key player in anti-poaching efforts across the continent. With some of the most sophisticated surveillance and protection systems in place, the Kruger National Park uses a combination of drones, night vision cameras, and ranger patrols to monitor elephant movements and protect them from poaching. Uganda and Rwanda. Mountain gorilla-elephant coexistence. Uganda and Rwanda have taken innovative steps to protect both mountain gorillas and elephants in areas like the Burundi, Impenetrable Forest and Volcanoes National Park. Both species often share similar habitats, leading to potential conflicts. But the two countries have worked on creating wildlife corridors to allow these species to coexist, while minimizing the risk of human-wildlife conflict. The Uganda Wildlife Authority, UWA, works closely with local communities to manage elephant populations and reduce crop-raiding incidents, often using community-based approaches. Namibia. Community-based conservation. Namibia is a pioneer in community-based conservation, with several initiatives aimed at integrating local communities into wildlife protection efforts. The Namibian Elephant Conservation Program is an excellent example. In Namibia, local communities living near elephant habitats are given incentives to protect elephants and manage their populations sustainably. The Namibian Conservation Trust (NC) works with indigenous communities to develop strategies for reducing human-elephant conflict, while fostering sustainable tourism, which provides economic benefits to local people.